Hello duelists and welcome to another episode of This Month in Master Duel. My name is Ed.
And my name is Emray, and I'm very happy to be joining Ed to present This Month in Master Duel to all of you.
How are you doing this month in Ibris?
Very well, thank you, Ed. Yeah, that as well as our good friend the Rescue Rabbit, who seems just as equally thrilled to be joining us as he usually is.
I like having him on his little plinth, actually, whenever we get to come and do this show. He becomes a nice little member of our little cast. So, you guys all know what this is, but if you're new to the show, what we do here at This Month in Master Duel is we basically tell you guys everything over the next month that's going to be coming to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and it's always very exciting to be able to bring this show to people. Some people may already know what's coming in some ways, but actually for those of you who don't, this is a nice little interactive way for us to show you exactly what you can experience in the app.
Yeah, it's a good way of catching everybody up to what has just happened and also what is about to come, essentially. Now, speaking of what is about to come, by the way, Ed, I believe we have a pretty good schedule lined up for the day.
We have a cracking schedule, Ibris. A brilliant schedule, if I might say. It might be our best show yet, although for us it was the dinosaur one. But we'll come back to that anyway. So we're obviously going to start with Ibris' 60-second recap, where I challenge him to basically review everything up until now that's happened in Master Duel. We have a new selection pack to talk about. We have a secret pack to talk about. We have a special interview, which is very exciting. We've got new cards. We have some very exciting exclusive World Champion duels for you that were all filmed at the second Invitational on Master Duel. But you didn't see it during the broadcast. These were all filmed after. So this is all exclusive for you guys who are tuning in to This Month in Master Duel. So we have so much exciting stuff to talk about. But Ibris, I did say we always start with the 60-second recap. So, are you ready? Are you ready to sum things up in 60 seconds?
About as ready as I can be, given the fact that we've had so much come to Master Duel this past month.
Well, can you cram it into 60 seconds, Ibris?
Time will tell.
So it certainly will, quite literally will tell.
Right.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Ibris, your time starts now.
Okay, we are still enjoying the second anniversary campaign, of course, that we mentioned last time. Blue Eyes White Dragon gracing your screens yet again. So beautiful, so cool. Much like the selection packs that released alongside it. Right into the future with the Diabell Star the Black Witch and the Snake Eyes archetype coming to Master Duel. You had
Oh, don't bottle it now, Ibris.
Name of Champions.
Good, good.
With the alternate artwork, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. You had the Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess added to the Guardians of the Sacred Sky secret pack as well with that alternate art. In addition to that, we had the Card Protector poll go out. More on that a little bit later, actually, because I do believe we've had the results announced since then.
We certainly have.
In addition to that, start of this month, we had Selection Pack Return of the King. We had the secret pack for the Tearlaments archetype. I'm hearing a timer, Ed.
I'm afraid that is time up, Ibris, but you did manage to rattle through quite a lot of what we've got. So let's break down some of the core points.
You know, I could have gone item by item. Instead, I made the rookie mistake of having a good fan out about the various
filling, as we call it in the industry.
You know, had to
it's the perfect thing to do in a 60-second segment. Right, Ibris, let's go through some of the things that you did talk about. So, Forbidden and Limited list.
Did I talk about that? I don't think I
believe
did.
You did you not? Okay, well, that is something important that we should discuss.
Yeah.
So the Forbidden and Limited list came out. So, for instance, Branded Opening. Branded, a very popular deck right now, still. That's gone down to 1.
Yeah, Branded Opening, of course, just to kind of address the consistency of the branded deck that we saw in our December edition of this broadcast. Really, really powerful. Yeah, not much more else to say about that.
It doesn't affect it too badly, though, does it? It's a little bit of consistency here, but it's nothing too devastating for Branded, is it?
Exactly that. The Sanctifier Dragon arriving back in December really did level that up into being competitively viable again. Speaking of competitively viable, by the way, Water Enchantress of the Temple coming back to 2. We saw the Adventurer engine actually get used quite a lot during its time as the go-to kind of competitive deck. Wandering Griffin Rider, Illegal Knight, so many good options for engaging with that, and the Rite of Aramesir does mean that we're now potentially going to see that come back into prominence.
And we also have King of the Swamp as well. So that's something that people
I like
get
King of
really-
the Swamp. Honestly, it's
if you like your fusions.
iconic fusion card, you know, back in the good old days of E-Heroes, everyone was
The
playing that.
halcyon days of E-Heroes.
Well, yeah, and of course, branded, Tearlaments, so many newer fusion-based archetypes really benefit from that. So having access to that at 3 again is really promising for a lot of decks.
So we'll see how that affects things when we come to the meta. But we have more things to talk about. You'll remember last time we invited you guys to come and vote on our socials and on our website to have the new materials or the new accessories voted for. And we can reveal to you what has been winning the Protector's polls. Ibris?
Yeah, so for those of you that didn't catch the post on our SNS or the in-game notification, there was the Trap Trick Sarah winning the vote from Japan. There was the Dark Magician Girl and the Diabell Star the Black Witch, actually from the US and
EU.
European. Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I think those are all pretty good card choices. Obviously, I know you and I are maybe personally a bit hurt that there weren't more Dinosaur or Dinomorphia ones in there, but that's just us who likes those Ibris. Dark Magician Girl, a really strong one, and Diabell Star has become a really iconic design lately, so
yeah,
that doesn't
almost
surprise me.
Every deck running Diabell Star the Black Witch at the moment. And of course, as you said, Dark Magician Girl, just one of the most iconic monsters in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Absolutely, and we also have the accessory set for Dragon of Pride and Soul and Magicians of Bonds and Unity. And what's that include?
So those include, I believe, a card protector. Again, well, really card protector enthusiasts doing well for themselves at the moment, as well as an icon and a wallpaper.
God, you're spoiled for choice with these kind of things, so make sure you guys get your hands on those if you're interested in them. We also have a very exciting 60 million campaign that we're not going to go too much into detail right now. I was going to talk about it later in the show. That's normally my segue hand, Ibris, but instead I've done it to go, we'll do it later. Like a dolphin of information.
Neospatian Aqua Dolphin.
Yes, exactly. See, you brought it back to Yu-Gi-Oh! So easily.
Always.
So we'll be talking about the specifics of that later on, because you will get some gems, and also you'll get some pack tickets for a selection pack that we're coming to later. So when that ends up happening, you'll know more about this and we'll go into the details. But before then, we get to talk about our brand new pack, Return of the King.
Return of the King is one of the coolest pack names that I've ever heard, by the way. Yeah, really loving the artwork as well on that. The scarred red dragon archfiend, really, really looking prominent.
Very, very much looking prominent. In fact, blazing, you might say. So the first one that we should talk about one of the cards we should talk about in this, is the Transaction Rollback, which is famously very, very good for a trap deck like Labyrinth. So you guys are going to be familiar with this if you've ever been playing Labyrinth. We might have even seen this being played before. People are very, very keen on utilizing this in those trap decks. And if you use that, it's really useful. Talk to us a bit about how you can utilize this with Labyrinth.
Yeah, so with the Labyrinth strategy, essentially you use this as an insurance policy to make sure that your big welcome Labyrinth resolves even when you've been disrupted by, say, an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Essentially, you discard it off of one of the Labyrinth furnitures, and then you use its graveyard effect to clone your already disrupted welcome, and then just resolve that. It's really, really good at making sure that Labyrinth can play through disruption, and adds a layer of reliability to a deck that was kind of struggling with the sheer amount of disruption being afforded by the likes of Snake Eye.
That was an incredibly eloquent description of that, Ibris, but it's not
I'm
all
an
we
eloquent kind of guy.
You certainly are, and that's why you're here with me in the studio, to talk shop about these kind of cards that you can get in the shop.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry. Okay, let's talk about the next card that we have. So, Tistina, the divinity that defies darkness. A lot of sort of syllables in there. But this is one of those, cracking XC ones. It was a TCG world premiere from Duelist Nexus, and now we've got it in Master Duel. And I've got to say, there's something about card arts like this that I really love. A lot of the straight edges mixed with the sort of perfect circle imagery in this. I've really liked the art of this card for a long time, so I'm glad that we get to finally see this in Master Duel, Ibris.
So what I love about it is that it's a rank 10 Xyz monster, which means that we see players just explore a variety of creative strategies to access it. We were looking at some of the extra decks that utilized it, and we saw Egyptian God Slime and other level 10 cards to just get to a rank 10, and once it's out, it does do a good job of removing a lot of your opponent's options, though it is by no means easy to access. It's very rewarding once you do get there, however.
I'm sure some of our players who are able to get into that are going to be very happy that this card is now available. But also, for those of you who are classic Yu-Gi-Oh fans, sort of the early eras of Yu-Gi-Oh fans, you'll be very excited by
Classic Yu-Gi-Oh!
Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! That's the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand there. Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. Now, this is a great support for resonators and things, and this is a really popular 5Ds monster, one that everyone knows, everyone loves, and it's great to see this. I'm glad this is here. Talk to us a little bit about this one, Ibris.
Yeah, Red Dragon Archfiend as an archetype, just as you said, very emblematic with the synchro strategy as a whole. Resonators as well, lending themselves to just essentially getting as many of themselves out as possible to access these higher leveled synchros. Scar Red Dragon Archfiend, Scar Red Dragon Archfiend, very just another bridge to the higher leveled Red Dragon Archfiend monsters, such as King Calamity, which essentially wins the game once it's summoned. And we will actually go into a combo graphic showing you how you can use Scar Red Dragon Archfiend as a bridge to those higher level monsters.
Let's take a look. Okay, Ibris, I'm going to have to ask you this before we go any further. Is that Scarred Dragon or is it Scar Red Dragon like we've been saying?
So I'm saying Scar Red Dragon Archfiend just because the archetype itself is Red Dragon Archfiend, and this is just another piece of support for Red Dragon Archfiend.
Impeccable logic there. Okay, take us through.
Well, so essentially, you start off with any card in your hand that you want to discard, plus Soul Resonator. Once you summon the Soul Resonator, you can activate its effect, summon Bone Archfiend. A lot of Resonators, a lot of Archfiends, you know, this is pretty much in the name. You basically then special summon the Bone Archfiend by sending a card to the graveyard as a cost. You'll then use its effect, decrease the level of the Soul Resonator by sending the Crimson Resonator to the graveyard. Then you synchro summon Red Rising Dragon using both Soul Resonator and Bone Archfiend. Sound pretty straightforward so far?
So far I'm following you, Ibris, but there's more.
Yeah, there is more, and it does end in a synchro summon. So to get there, we start with another synchro summon, as we said, with the Red Rising Dragon. From there, we use its effect on summon to get the Crimson Resonator back to the field from the graveyard. We'll then use Crimson Resonator's effect, summon Vision Resonator, and Synchron Resonator. So many Resonators.
So many.
Really resonating. And then you use Red Rising Dragon and Vision Resonator to summon Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. You can then use that to climb further into other fantastic synchro monsters.
And this truly is a fantastic synchro monster that you guys want to get your hands on in the new pack Return of the King. So make sure that you guys get your hands on that if you want to have some of that good Resonator goodness with Scar Red Dragon Archfiends. Now don't go anywhere because we've got some very exciting things. We promised you some exclusive duels, and right now we've got a very exciting duel from one of our world champions, Emray.
And welcome back to Malaga, Spain. We are here for the second anniversary invitational of Master Duel in Europe. Myself is Farfa, and joined with me, we've got Lampy. We've got quite an exhibition match on for you today. Let's take a look at the competition here and see what we've got in store for you. Tell us a little bit about it.
I mean, you saw it. We have the world champions in the house. It's going to be Josh, Emray, and Quantal here in a 3v3 facing off against Pariah from France, who's a regular Challenger Cup grinder, winning multiple tournaments there. Also joined by Colossa from Italy, who was, of course, the second place finisher of our last 1-year anniversary of the Master Duel game. And then last but not least, we have the reigning TCG European champion Jessica Robinson joining the action. So it's going to be quite the 3v3 match here.
Let's head on over to the match and take a look at how this one unfolds. I'm excited. Hello and welcome everyone. We've got our exhibition match here live between world champion Emray and Challenger Cup grinder Pariah. Excited for this one, Lampy?
Ooh, I am, and I'm even more excited when I see the first card being activated. Pariah has decided to play a fire deck, but it's not the usual one you would expect, because he is starting things off here with Salamangreat Circle in the draw phase.
Yeah, making sure it's a draw phase to play around that all-important Droll and Lockbird. That's become a really important staple of the current ranked ladder in Macedo. And that's a mirror. That's not a card you see every day in Salamangreat, is it?
I mean, especially when you just search for Gazelle, right? You're like, okay, he got the best card of the deck already, and now he goes for the normal summon of Mir. But obviously, that's going to enable the Gazelle to activate its effect in the hand there.
There's no delay that I can see from Emray's position here, so we could be on a uninterrupted full Salamangreat combo. We'll see just exactly which direction he takes with this. And typically, I think if we send the trap here, then that's kind of what we're trying to load up. Or maybe we could go for Jaguar and try and put up a rank 4 potentially.
Yeah, that would be the case. Also, it's quite interesting because obviously everyone is looking at Promethean Princess at the moment with the Snake Eye deck being around, but that's obviously a really good card to play in that Salamangreat deck as well. So I'm pretty sure we're also going to see that card being included into the combo here. And you were mentioning it, it could be a rank 3. Is that going to be the Mirage Stalio? It does absolutely look like it.
Yep, Mirage Stalio to chitter out your rank 4 directly from the deck here. Jaguar, probably the one of choice that we can get some extending plays going on. You mentioned Princess. I haven't seen that card played at all in Salamangreat. I'm sure that's obviously a staple, but I'm not too sure what the lines are.
I mean, you just have to get to it at some point, and then you will have it in the graveyard. That's the cool thing about it, right? It's not really, it does not have to have a real big purpose within your combo.
Yeah.
Just it being there in your graveyard for the upcoming turn is just such a big upside when you are ending on a fire monster, and you are going to end on a fire monster, of course.
Yeah, that's pretty good synergies as well with Balinks as well, which is important to protect your cards as well as when you're popping your opponents. So let's see how Pariah plays this one out. We've got the Sunlight Wolf brought back from the Princess. I'm curious if the zones really matter with this. Most likely not.
I mean, it's somewhat interesting because I don't think we activated the effect of Sunlight Wolf yet, right?
No, we haven't used the recycling, so we are going to relink it, I guess, in some way here. It's Sunlight Wolf or Sunlight Wolf. So we get to trigger it now to add back the circle from the graveyard.
So first of all, we're going to use the effect to add back a monster, and that is going to be Gazelle, absolutely.
And then the second effect gets you the circle for some more recursion and follow-up. But we haven't seen anything else here from Pariah. We don't know what the rest of the hand is. Could probably be backed up with a hand trap or two. And 2-4 back row. Okay.
We're talking about real traps here, maybe, not just coming down from the hand.
I wonder if he's drawn both of them.
Oh, that would be pretty good. And I mean, when he sets that many cards, I think obviously one of those is going to be Salamangreat Circle. That's quite the obvious thing to give away there. But then the other cards are either going to be the Salamangreat cards, trap cards, or Infinite Impermanence or something like that. So I think chances that he is on both traps here are pretty high, honestly.
Let's see what Emray does about this. As we saw from the previous turn, no hand traps, no disruption from Emray. Could be on a big amount of field breakers potentially. We'll see just exactly what he does here. That is a Terror Top.
That is indeed a Terror Top. So he's not bringing one of his World Championship decks here. It's neither Axis Sister nor Labyrinth, and also not his favorite deck of all time, Floowandereeze, but instead it's Speedroid. I mean, to be fair, so far it is only a Terror Top and Attack and Toeborg, so it could go into any kind of direction featuring level 3, rank 3 monsters whatsoever. So let's see what the Chief has cooked here.
Yeah, so Terror Top works really nicely in this situation because it's a non-normal summon. It basically makes you an Xyz monster for free just with one card, so you have 5 more in hand. A couple of options, like going for the Xyz play to try and maybe force out something with Zeus is really good, but this is Rage.
Right away, so we did draw into the Salamangreat Rage, and we are immediately going to make sure that our Link 2 monster matches with the 2 monsters on the field of Emrer, and he's going to destroy both of them right away.
Yeah, so it's a really, really easy bait. I don't think Emray's going to be too upset about this. One important thing is that he does need to try and somehow get his life points lower than Pariah, because that's going to be a lot of what the synergies involved with the Gold Pride cards are going to consist of.
Oh yeah, true. You already had a peek at the list that he is playing, but there is Ready Fusion, and that is 1,000 life points being given up to special summon a level 6 or lower non-effect fusion monster from the extra deck, and as you said, that is now 7,000 life points for him, so he enables a lot of his engine cards in his hand that he hopefully has in his hand here. And I'm curious, what are we are going to summon out Fusionists in 2024. Look, Petit Angel and Mystical Sheep 2 were needed here, still it found its way onto the field.
I like that it's Mystical Sheep number 2 specifically. Right? The first one just wasn't quite up to par, I suppose, for the Fusionist.
Yeah, absolutely.
When was the last time you saw this card played?
Never,
Oh, we've drawn Captain Carry. Never? Okay, right, listen. You play this in as an instant
I
fusion target
know.
for Infernity back in the day. It was kind of necessary.
You could probably play it in Burning Abyss as well, right? Just
No, you definitely
hypothetically.
It's a non-burning abyss. It'll die.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Anyway, this is a really good play here because the Captain Kari on summon does allow you to add the Gold Pride trap, and that is the all-important start your engines.
Let's see whether Emray really gets to start his engines, because if this resolves, even if he doesn't get through this field this turn, he already has a pretty good card to for the turn of Pariah then on the next turn.
I don't know if you've noticed, but he didn't activate Kari.
Oh no!
So,
oh no, Emray!
We've appeared to have drawn the trap here, the one of, which is not ideal.
To be fair, maybe he just plays around the somewhat obvious draw here. He's like, I'm not going to activate this effect because I need 2 of these level 3 monsters to go into my Exceed.
It is going to be Chariot Kari.
We basically transformed into the into the Exceed version of the monster, but there is of course the Promethean Princess. We said it earlier, it just needs to be in the graveyard, and when a special summon is happening, he is
Called by the
activated.
grave.
That's a good card to counter that though. And does he have the Roar now to counter the Called by the Grave? Because that's a pretty good timing for that, and the Roar is going to shut down the Called by the Grave, and there is no counter trap to counter that on Emray's side, so it is obviously going to resolve.
That's crazy that we drew both of the Salmon Great
Yeah.
traps without searching them. That's very fortunate from Pariah. That is a huge chain resolving right now, and Pariah has, well, full control of the field here with potentially 2 more disruptions and gets to trigger the Sunlight Wolf right now to get some more follow-up.
Look at
And
that.
Emray's on 2 cards only.
And potentially one of those 2 cards is the Start Your Engines trap, because he did not activate the effect of Captain Carry
Yeah,
there.
so we do think that one of those is a trap card.
Probably.
There's no, like, normal summons I think this deck really needs, so I mean, I guess best case scenario here would maybe be like, gosh, special summon Leon, and then I think he can bring back something from the graveyard this turn.
I mean, we did not normal summon yet, and I mean, you should be aware of a pretty good level 3 normal summon that may be in his deck there, right?
I don't think so.
I saw him putting together the cards, and I believe there was a tour
Really?
guide in there.
Okay.
But
Oh,
it
he
is
does have
Leon,
Leon. All right.
though. Okay. That's definitely a decent
Yeah,
way.
no, that's huge. But the problem is there's 2 unknowns still set, so I mean, if this is not an imperm, I'm gonna be really shocked here.
I mean, one of them definitely is Circle, so... it is
wow.
an Imperm as well. The opening of Pariah here
Incredible.
really good.
Last card in hand, Max C potentially would have been like the best custom hand possible, but nope, it is in fact just the recycled Sunlight Wolf target there. And Emray is, well, I don't know if it's too bad, right? Because the Leon is still a quick synchro on the following turn, plus the set Start Your Engine, potentially going into the rolling baller for a fusion play next turn. Like, that could be good. Let's see how he plays this one out, though.
So definitely it could be good. The only issue is Start Your Engines is a very powerful trap card. It needs your opponent basically
summon a
to
guy.
start your
Yeah.
engines though, because and look at that, he is setting a card, so it is quite likely going to be the Start Your Engines. So maybe he finds a way to play around that. And the end phase Celebrate Circle, of course, to get yourself probably another copy of Gazelle. Yep, there it is. And now the Princess is on the field, and the Princess right away, of course, it's not a summon effect, can now summon back another fire monster, but maybe we just go into the battle phase, to be fair. Okay,
oh, wow,
no.
it does play into the Start Your Engine. Okay,
We
interesting.
do not waste any time. Maybe he has just picked up an Ash Blossom and Joy Spring or something, who
That
knows.
would be huge, yeah. I'm sure Pariah is very experienced with this deck by now, after having played so many tournaments, and I think he is probably aware of the fact that Start Your Engine is going to be in his hand. I'm sure he'd be able to track that, hey, we didn't use Carry earlier, so there's a reason for that, unless, like, I don't know, specifically you want to, like, try play around Solemn Strike or something. Although you can see here, Priority is passing back from Emray, and does not use the Start Your Engine, so maybe waiting for the Link Forth here. That's the Pyro Phoenix.
Oh, the Pyro Phoenix coming down.
We won't be able to check just yet until we see the card, but do you think that the Start Your Engine has to destroy? Oh, okay, here he is.
There
Can
is
you
the
try
Start Your
hover over for
Engines. Let's have
read
a
on the
quick
PSCT
look.
here. Target your okay,
Oh,
doesn't matter.
it's
Never
roar.
mind.
Anyways, obviously we knew he reset the roar,
there was just no chance, right? Like it was.
Riot. He didn't care. He didn't even care. He was like, sure, I can just summon monsters and you can activate your trap card whenever you like. I'm just going to go ahead and go for game here anyways. Because one thing that Cyber's decks have in common, they are playing, of course, Access Code Talker in the extra deck, and I'm pretty sure this is going to come down here.
Yeah, kind of incredible there that we managed to do this much, have this much disruption. Like, it was absolutely everything you could ask for from a Salamangreat combo. And now we get to send the Will with the Gazelle and then recycle it back with the relinked Sunlight Wolf. That's going to give us a potentially will send the Pyro Phoenix to summon 4 monsters from the grave.
Oh yeah,
and that's
sounds
just going to
good.
be easy update access. Like, we probably have game for like Prosperity at this point.
There's
That's
Will
how
of the
much damage we
Salamangreat.
do.
It's interesting though that he's running 2 Pyro Phoenix, right? Oh, I mean,
Wow.
we just bring back Pyro Phoenix and that is more than enough. No cards for Emray. Obviously, he also paid 1,000 to activate his spell card, and therefore we're attacking one by one here, and it does absolutely look like that the challengers and the Challenger Cup grinder Pariah is bringing his team up 1-0 against the world champion team.
World champions are down a game against our invitational competitors today. That's an incredible end to that duel there. Welcome back, everyone. That was a game. Salamangreat being on display here.
I mean, I was thinking we're going to see a bunch of fire decks, but I did not expect the
That fire
Salamangreat
deck.
strategy to come through, but that was the perfect opening, because sometimes it can be stressful when you open both of the traps, because obviously they're not combo starters, but when you still have combo on top of that, you obviously are going to have a pretty good turn, and then no interruption on top of that for Emray was really the deal breaker here, and that is why Pariah brought the team 1-0 into the lead.
Yeah, I think we definitely needed some type of disruption on Emray's power, or even some sort of field breaker on the clapback. But he didn't see any non-engine, right? It was just sort of like the Ready Fusion, the extenders and stuff. And I think like Gold Pride does actually play quite well through disruption. You saw he was doing pretty good actually. But I mean, Roar and Rage together. The counter trap is like just a little bit too much, and hard drawing the trap card is obviously not ideal in Gold Pride, so it is what it is. A valiant effort and a great display of the Gold Pride deck. I've actually tried to play it with punks personally. I don't know how many variants you've ever seen of Gold
same
Pride.
to be honest. Like, the punk cards work really well, but I saw him building the deck. He was like, I don't need the punk cards. I have enough level 3 monsters to summon out, and I will just be going with the pure approach, which did not work out ultimately here, but I think it was a really good display because he actually used every single card of his hand, still trying to play through. All of the cards could special summon itself. Didn't work out in the end. Still a great duel, and so we're on to the next game.
Well, that is the first of our 3 versus 3 matches there, and we got 2 more duels to take a look at. So what are we going to do about that?
Absolutely. 2 more world champions to be checked out. So definitely make sure to head over to YouTube. Yu-Gi-Oh! Card U is the channel, and you will be able to watch all the other matches and how they turned out.
Always nice to see a little bit of bonus content there filmed at our 2nd anniversary invitational, but we also have one of our duelists there and a finalist from the 2nd anniversary invitational, a Challenger Cup winner, and more importantly, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel World Champion. Emray is joining us live in the studio via very sophisticated posh satellite link up. Hello Emray, so nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What about you guys?
Yeah, very, very well, thank you. Really glad that you're able to join us. Thanks again for coming on the show today.
Always happy when I'm with you guys.
So you were part of the 2nd invitational, as I mentioned. So tell us a little bit about your experience, because you and Lampy were a duo in that, and you guys made it all the way to the final. How was your experience?
Yeah, first of all, when I found out that Lampy is going to be my teammate, I was really happy because I know him for a while now, and out of like everybody, he was like the one who I wanted to play with, other than Quantle, of course. And yeah, we prepared pretty well, I'd say. The tournament didn't start that well. We started with losing the first 2 games, and then we just thought that we'll just enjoy ourselves and pick the deck that we like more than the deck that's like the best one. So we started to play Exo Systems, and we made it all through to the finals with Exos. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Exorcister there, actually, because of course you were very prolific for your Exorcister plays at that World Championship that you did win.
Yeah, Lampy is also a pretty known Exo player, so we kind of like, we already knew that our 2nd deck is going to be Exo from the start.
I mean, it clearly worked out well for you in all of these tournaments, so you guys are the best, literally the best EXO players in the world, which is quite exciting. But we're not here to talk about EXO Sister today with you, Emray, because we're going to get your opinion on our brand new secret pack, Songstress of the Sorrowed Song. Now, this is going to be quite exciting for a lot of people who are Tearlaments players, Ibris.
Yeah, Songstress of Sorrow Song, giving access to a lot of these Tearlaments and Mermail cards that a lot of decks around the timing of that World Championship that Emray did compete in were actually themed around. I believe Quantal piloted the deck for your team. Emray, what do you think about Tearlaments?
I love Tearlaments. It's a pretty fun strategy to play, but also it's really fun to play against, because it's kind of like a gamble sometimes of what the opponent mills. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the game, because it's not always the same game. It's always different, the lines are different, and so is playing against the deck. I'm pretty happy that they finally got a secret deck, because it's now more available for everybody with all the ace cards of the deck. So yeah,
absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's a really perfect time for people, because normally you could have crafted them or sort of have to earn them in other ways, but the secret pack gives loads of access to people who maybe can't afford the dust to craft some of these cards. So we're going to go through 3 of those cards that are actually going to be available for people to get in Songstress of the Sorrowed Song. So first of all, we have Tearlaments Kaleido Heart. Now, Ibris, this is one that everyone's going to know when it comes to the Tearlaments build. So talk to us a little bit about Kaleido Heart.
Yeah, Tearlaments Kaleido Heart being kind of emblematic of the strategy as a whole, being a boss monster, fusion monster. Tearlaments, one of the most prolific fusion archetypes in the game at the moment. Really, really powerful card that once it's on the field is really difficult for your opponent to deal with. In addition to that, we have the Tearlaments Rule Colors and the Primeval Planet Perla Rhino.
Now, those are both very staple. That field spell, Perla Rhino, is the sort of thing that you're going to see played all the time. So the fact that people have access to this and Rule Coloss is such a benefit for those people who are wanting to now get into building a tier deck.
Yeah, Emray, could you tell us a bit about the cards that we've just mentioned? The Tearlaments Kaleido Heart, the Tearlaments Rule Coloss, and the Primeval Planet Perla Rhino?
Yeah, let me start with Kaleido Heart. Kaleido Heart is like one of the boss monsters of the deck that kind of pushes the opponent like to beat him. It's like one of the cards that you summon like at the end of the duel to finish the opponent. Rule Colors, on the other hand, is more like a card that you put on your first turn to put some pressure on your opponent. The effect is pretty strong to negate an effect that summons a card. You have that in every deck, I guess, like effect summoning cards. And Planet is, in my opinion, the best field spell ever printed. Maybe the best in archetype field spell. And yeah, I'm pretty looking forward to that.
I mean, it's definitely going to sort of change the landscape of how many people are going to be playing Tearlaments. On that note, as you mentioned before, Quantal played this at Worlds. So as someone who's played alongside it, do you have any advice for people on how best to maybe combat Tearlaments as well, when people are now going to be utilizing these cards? How do you as a player prepare to go up against Tearlaments?
I mean, for the World Championship, I had a deck that was specifically designed to beat Tearlaments with EXO Sisters. But if I was to play like a normal tournament, like a Challenger Cup, and I face Tear, I should be aware that Tear also has the weaknesses. Cards like Abyss Dweller counter the deck pretty well. And once you find out what the weaknesses of the deck are, I think there's a good way to counter it. As I said, negate the graveyard effects, or maybe don't even like get them rolling, because once there's like resolving all their monsters like Kid Colors, then it's almost too late. So
Yeah.
you have to stop that.
You take me back to Road to Worlds last year when Ed and I were discussing the ways to deal with the deck back then. I think I was running Mask Change 2 into Masked Hero Dark Law in Dynamorphia. Dimension Shifter as well, even
Yes.
though it did shut out my own graveyard.
Yes,
so,
that's the bigger problem,
yeah. Yeah, just really, really potent deck, and really happy to see it again.
But also, we know, for instance, some of the other cards that we've announced today. You play Exorcister, as you mentioned, but you have played Labyrinth. And Transaction Rollback is one of the ones that we've talked about earlier. So can you talk to us about how that functions with Labyrinth and how you play it?
Transaction Rollback is a pretty strong card in Labyrinth. The field effect is not even like the best one. What you want to do is discard the rollback with like one of the furnitures to get the graveyard effect. So let's say you have a big welcome on board, you activate it, and your opponent uses an Ash Blossom, then most of the time your turn will be over. But because of Transaction Rollback, you can just copy that big welcome and use it again. And the good thing about the card is that it copies the effect and not the card itself. So if your opponent has an Ash Blossom, you cannot use it to the effect of rollback, so your big welcome and grave will resolve. So
See,
that, I think, yeah.
That's World Championship advice there on how you can utilize this card with Labyrinth. So it really is effective, especially if it's going to get you past those kind of Ash Blossom stun moments. What did you have to say about this, Ibris? Because I know that you were very keen on how much it had a synergy with Labyrinth.
Yeah, pretty much aligned with what our understanding was with the furniture to discard it and then again just access. As Emray said, if your big welcome Labyrinth gets disrupted, this gives you an opportunity to resume your combo and just find your way back into the game. So we've spoken about your Exorcister deck, we spoke about the Tearlaments deck, we've even spoken about your Labyrinth deck, but there is another deck that we know you've been playing in your recent Challenger Cup victory, so why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I played Lumpy's Challenger Cup 1.5 weeks ago, and I decided to bring Snake Eye to the cup because I feel like that's currently the strongest deck. Like Tearlaments was during the World Championship time. I think now it's Snake Eyes, and the meta shapes around Snake Eyes. So I thought I'll just bring the strongest deck to the cup, and it worked out, I guess.
I mean, it is, like you say, it is the sort of current dominant deck, isn't it? Even when we were at the Invitational, I think every single team played at least one Snake Eyes deck just because it is so dominant. And actually, that's another good follow-up question for this. For people who are going to be experiencing a lot of Snake Eyes matchups in maybe their ranked plays, what's your advice for how to combat Snake Eyes?
While playing ranked myself a lot, I realized that stun is actually a good way to counter Snake Eyes, but that's pretty inconsistent because once you go second, there's not much you can do. A pretty consistent way to counter Snake Eyes is to play Labyrinth, because I feel like that Labyrinth strategy is pretty good against Snake Eye. So I started to play Labyrinth again on my own on Master Duel, and I realized that the matchup is pretty good. So I think Labyrinth is a good way to counter it.
Excellent.
And you've heard it here first.
Yeah,
works together, doesn't it? Because we've just been talking simply about the Transaction Rollback.
Yeah, Transaction Rollback definitely a good boost to those Labyrinth decks as they take on the Snake Eyes.
Absolutely. So guys, make sure that you get your hands on that secret pack, Songstress of the Sorrowed Song, and get your hands on Kaleido Heart, Perla Rhino, and Royal Colossus, and build your Tearlaments deck today. But Emray, thank you so much for coming and joining us here on This Month in Master Duel. We really appreciate having a world champion in our midst to talk to us about this. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm happy. Thank you guys very much too.
I'm always really glad to speak with Emray, I have to say. He's such a good guy and such a good duelist too.
He is a wonderful guy and, like you say, an amazing duelist. A world championship duelist. But Ibris, it's time to test how much of a good duelist you are. And you know what this is.
I don't necessarily know if this game is what dictates if I'm a good duelist or not, Ed.
Well, it's time to find out if you guys have seen this before. This red button signifies that now it's time to test Ibris on the percentage card uses of some staple or iconic cards in the game to see if Ibris really knows his Master Duel.
Please be aware that Ed has randomly selected some cards that he considers to be staple or iconic, and therefore I'm a bit scared as to what I may face.
These are definitely staple and at least iconic at the very least.
Iconic, yeah.
Or current.
Okay.
They're all things that people would have seen. So don't worry, I'm not throwing out anything too weird. What's the Soul Eating Overraptor percentage? Nothing like that. You'll be fine. So are you ready? Are you ready to face the music?
Face the
percentage
music of the buzzer?
Yes,
or
yeah,
what? Yeah,
this
okay.
particular music, yes.
All right, yeah,
Okay.
as ready as I'll ever be. Let's
Okay.
go.
Your first question. What is the percentage of Droll and Lockbird?
So, Droll and Lockbird, pretty iconic as being one of the earlier disruptions. It saw a rise in prominence with the popularity of the Super Heavy Samurai because you would effectively shut that down. I'd say probably 30% is my go-to guess now.
Wrong! It is 57%.
Wow.
It's a lot higher than you'd think. And I mean,
okay.
it makes sense a lot. It's actually pretty good against some of the decks that are in the current meta right now.
Yeah, Super Heavy Samurai, as we mentioned, really do struggle to play through it. Yeah, I think there's never a bad opportunity for it in the current state of things, as you mentioned.
Well, speaking of the state of things, what about this card? This also starts with a D. Divine Arsenal, AA Zeus Sky Thunder, or just Zeus, if you will.
The boss of every Melfi deck. Pretty much the most prominent of all the Xyz monsters, bar maybe Baguska, the terribly tired tapir. I'd say he's probably sitting around 35 to 40%, so 37.5 is my guess.
Part of me wants to give this to you because you said 35 to 40%.
Please.
It's 40%.
Okay.
So I'm going to be kind, and despite the fact that I'm always
I'm actually
waving
very
my hand
impressed
over
with
this,
myself, by the way.
It was good. I mean, like you say, it's a used card in a lot of decks, and it's such an easy Xyz to get into.
So actually, it is really, really strong and does pretty much dictate games by itself once you're able to get it out. That being said, both of the main decks that I've been playing as of recent, Dynamorphia, there's Evolzar, Lagia, and Dolka in that as the Xyz kind of go-tos.
The staple 4-stars.
And Infernoble Knights as well have access to some Xyz monsters. Obviously, Zeus does suffer from not being a warrior or a fire type, so I can't really access him in those. But yeah, despite the fact that I personally haven't seen him in my own decks, I am definitely very afraid when my opponent does summon him.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm afraid to see when my opponent summons things. I don't know if that's true, but I'm segueing. This card also begins with a D. Dear Bellstar, the Black Witch.
Our card protector.
Yes, indeed. See, that's why I picked this, Ibris. It's topical.
Okay. Diabellstar the Black Witch came in February with the rest of the Snake Eyes. I actually played this one in Infernoble Knights, by the way, so 65%.
28.
Was it really that long?
28%. 60. Over 60. 28.
It's a popular card.
Only in 28% apparently, so it's not as popular as you thought.
I mean, it was at 50% between my Dynamorphia and Infernoble Knight deck.
True, yeah. So wrong. Next one. Now this is a sort of relative card to this. Another one that you'll see a lot at the moment. Snake Eyes Poplar. What is the percentage?
So I would say that this is less generic than Diabellstar the Black Witch. As such, probably 20% if Diabellstar the Black Witch was that low.
I'm going to give it to you because it's 22.
Okay.
So that was actually pretty good.
See? Deductive reasoning.
You're starting to get into the flow state of this. So now it's time to have a look at...
I lost count, by the way. Like, how many are we on now?
We've had 4, so now I'm going to go into our 5th.
Okay.
Harpy's Feather Duster.
What was that?
That was me looking at you for an answer. What is the percentage usage of Harpy's Feather Duster? This is good. This is good radio, good telly. Silence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
that's what you thinking. This is the
thinking.
If you're quiet, you can hear the sound of your
The gears are
synapses
turning.
firing. Yeah.
I mean, you know what? So, it's a card that is very useful going second, but not very useful going first. And theoretically, you're either side of that coin 50% of the time. Therefore, I'll say 50%.
Wrong. 18%.
Okay.
Way lower than I thought, though, because it's pretty great back row removal.
It is, but you think about the spell and trap card focus decks that you see at the moment, and a lot of them that are setting there are Labyrinth, other decks.
Yeah, okay, I suppose that's a good example, and then I'm sure there are others, yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting because with Harpy's Feather Duster against Labyrinth, that was the moment that some of you guys might have seen the clip that sealed Jessica Robinson's European Championship win, was the full field, the full back row of all the cards, and one Harpy's Feather Duster on turn 2.
Yeah.
And then the handshake. Absolutely amazing clip. Ibris, I have one more for you. It's a bonus one.
Okay.
And for this one, I want you to get this percentage exact. It has to be to the one decimal place correct, okay?
Okay.
What is the play percentage of Max C?
So, last time, can you tell me if it's higher or lower than our last one?
No, I can't.
Okay. Last time it was like 95.4 or something.
So then it's slightly lower.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give you a little hint, just because this one is, I need you to be exact to the point.
94.8.
I'm going to have to say that's wrong because I needed you to be exact for this one. But it is 94.4 for Max C. Max C is at 94.4% usage right now. Staple.
Very useful card.
A very useful card. I'm surprised people don't use it at 100% at this point, Ibris. It's just that good. Anyway, that's going to be all the percentages we've done. You actually had a really good number of those,
Thank
to
you,
be
I'm
fair.
aware, but I still heard the buzzer more often than not.
Yeah, and to be fair, I was not... I don't make this easy for you by constantly hovering my hand over it, psyching you out. But, you know, speaking of psyching out, not my best segue, not even sure if it works. But we told you we have even more World Championship duels to play. Can Quantal, one of our world champions, psych out Colossa, another one of our duels that we filmed at the 2nd anniversary Invitational?
Welcome back, everyone, to duel number 2. We are witnessing Quantal as part of our World Champion exhibition match versus the 2nd place invitational competitor Colossa from Italy.
Yep, all the way from Italy, and now up against Quantal, who starts things off with discarding an effect Veiler to special summon out the Diabellstar, the Black Witch.
Yeah, this is the heart and soul of the new metagame. Diabellstar, the Black Witch, wanted the original Sinful Spells, the engine that gives you the fire level 1s from your deck. And Quantal does indeed play a interesting fire deck, something you would be particularly aware of so far. But here's a new deck from the recent release, and that is Infernoble Knights.
Oh yeah, there's Renault coming down. We get to summon out the Ricadetto now as well. And the thing is, I don't believe I saw any kind of trigger there for Colossa, right? It looked like, to be fair, like Ash Blossom would have been activated right away. Probably Maxi would have been chained as well, so it does not seem like she has any of the two here.
Yeah, Colossa might just be on some go second field breakers potentially, or could potentially just be unlucky that we didn't see any hand traps. But we're going to witness the Infernoble combo here, and if there's anyone to display that for us perfectly, it's going to be Quantal. So we've got the 2 warriors on the field, which is obviously very hard to summon these days, right?
It is, absolutely. And there's, of course, also, I would say, for me personally, top 5 of the Link 2 monsters in the game. Isolde being summoned there. Just 2 warrior monsters, and now we get to send a couple of equip spells to bring out another warrior monster, which in this case is going to be Ogier.
Yeah, so many different lines and stuff that this deck can offer you with just a single Isolde. And obviously in the Infernoble line, it's Renaud when you send 1. But here we're going to go for Ogier since we already have Renaud access. And we get to send 4 equips, and then Ogier gets the trigger to send another Infernoble card from the deck to the grave, which I think was probably Turpin, I want to say we sent there.
Let's see.
We've got the Princess as well, naturally, as part of the new fire decks, basically played in pretty much anything with the fire attribute. Generic as well in its summoning condition, which is really crazy. So you get to play this in anything, then bring back fire monsters, which we're going to use here to bring back Ricardetto, who then gets to bring back the Ogier.
Yeah, so originally we were not able to trigger the effect on the normal summon of Ricardetto because there was no monster to bring back, but now, obviously a couple of steps later, we can just bring back the Ogier we brought to the field with the Isolde, and we now go for Angelica, the Princess of Noble Arms.
Angelica being so good that some people would even suggest that like this is one of the clutch moments of the combo, and if you have any sort of disruption, if it's not on Isolde, then this is probably the next best thing here as we go for the museum.
I mean, to be fair, there's also still one card that we cannot rule out for Colossi. There may as well still be Nibiru in his hand, which obviously versus any kind of combo that could be a huge game changer here.
Yeah, Nibiru has been a popular heavy-hitting go second card that a lot of players in ladder have been playing recently with the new metagame, and Droll and Lockbird, Nibiru, these are sort of like the ones that are kind of like turn ending that you want to try and you know, put into your decks, and we've seen a lot of success with them, but over this course of this match, not quite yet. And yeah, Colossa definitely just doesn't appear to have anything here.
She's just waiting. I'm convinced she's just waiting for the perfect moment to drop that Nibiru.
We're just waiting for the cooking at the end of the turn, end of main phase. You know, that's what you love to hear, because I don't think this deck puts up too many disruptions, right? It's the spells and traps from the Charlemagne. And then eventually the Gearfried will most likely be activated, which is a effect to summon itself. So that would be probably the last possible moment.
I mean, you always kind of have to be aware of maybe Baron de Fleur or Appaloosa hitting the field.
That's true, yeah.
The thing is, right now you're safe from those because there is the Promethean Princess on the field saying you are only allowed to summon fire monsters. Therefore, for the moment, you don't have to preemptively use Nibiru here, even though there would be the potential link for summon lined up, but right now that could only be fire monsters.
It's really funny the amount of times I've seen people just mess up their Enfields because they're like confused as to why they can't keep extending, and it's almost always because Princess is fire locking you.
Absolutely. So there is the Emperor Charles now. He's probably not going to stay for too long because there is a Link monster also being called Charles that is quite new to the deck that is kind of replacing him within the combo. And I think it's a pretty cool mechanic for a new boss monster to be released, right? Just the first boss monster is being used to summon out the other boss monster. I kind of like that.
Like, personally, that is like one of my favorite things they've done with Link summoning, is being able to make a Link 1, but not in the conventional sense where it's just like any main deck monster makes a Link 1, typically getting a field spell, etc, etc. Actually having to use like a, I wouldn't say difficult to summon, but you know, something you have to like really invest your resources into, and then using that as your boss monster, that it almost like changes the text of the Infernoble Knight Charles with the Link, because it gains the effect of the Charles.
Yeah.
And then we're using the museum to bring him back.
Okay, now Durandal was searched along the way, being able to activate now. And then when it activates its effect, of course, it's going to destroy itself to then search for another warrior monster.
Yeah, level 5 or lower specifically here, so still not yet getting to the the Immortal Phoenix, which I would hope that there is a world where we do get the Immortal Phoenix at some point in this turn. Most likely, we'll see.
There's going to be Renault now being summoned out, and that can, of course, now just add something back from the graveyard. So maybe one of the equip spells that we send to the graveyard through the effect of Isolde might be what we're looking at here, and we are going to go for Almase.
Yeah, so much synergy within the archetype designed to like work within itself, as you get the sending directly from the deck with the cost of Isolde. Even if you get stopped at some point, Renaud can pick those up from the graveyard usually. And there's that Baron de Fleur. So, as you mentioned earlier, if there was a time and any point to use that final Nibiru, this would have been it. But unfortunately, no disruption from Colossa. She's just waiting patiently for her turn here.
Okay, I changed my opinion. There is no Nibiru. She just has a hand that can play through this very, very well, though. Yeah, because I'm connected to Colossa, because as you will see in a moment, she is going to bring a deck that I also have a special connection to, and I hope that she can put up a show with it here.
All right, let's check it out soon. But first, we got a couple of end phase effects to resolve, which is the end phase effect of Infernoble Knight Charles, equipping from the deck here. So we've got an untargetable, indestructible Charles, as well as Angelica being revived here at the end phase, returning from the banish until the end phase effect. And now we've got quite the setup here. We've got a spell and trap negate, untargetable immune boss monster, the Baron Omni negate, as well as the Angelica tag out, I think is what she does, right?
Yeah, indeed it is. But nothing there that could hold back a powerful Virtual Will turn. Come on, Colossa, bring it on. Okay, but we first of all start things off with the Water Enchantress of the Temple. So that is going to be the adventure version of the Virtual World deck, and we are probably going to see those Virtual World cards in a little bit.
Yeah, losing their boss monster once upon a time. It's been a while now, almost near the beginning of the end of the last anniversary. Continuous negate there by the Angelic Ring to stop the Enchantress.
Okay, and there it is. We're
Normal
off to a
summon.
start.
Oh, Roland gonna summon itself from the grave and then use the effect to destroy.
Oh,
That is so unlucky. We drew Maxi for turn.
That is not what
And
we
we
want to see.
also, okay, it didn't really matter, I suppose, because we would have had Kovai, that's fair, but that's, yeah, that's a card we definitely needed, but it is what it is. So, yeah, not even allowing any advantage to be taken here, because I think Infernoble Knight only really has maybe like 2 more summons on this turn, but still, 2 more draws into the deck on turn 2 is still very relevant, right?
You just don't want to give them away for free. And so you have the Caught by the Grave. Caught by the Grave, to be fair, doesn't have that many applications versus Virtual World in general, so you may as well just activate it there, and Quantal gets rewarded by just having the end phase signal appearing to him. And I mean, that is technically, practically, game on the field right there.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I feel like Virtual World has a lot of ways to extend and push, because as long as you can stick a face-up Virtual World card on the field, either through a normal summon or placing the Kowloon, is it? You can usually spam quite a lot of your Virtual Worlds from the hand, but yeah, specifically Infernoble Knight is really good in the sense that it has that pop effect, so just stopping a normal summon just basically kills like 3 cards in your hand.
And there it is, Quantal equaling the score here in the 3v3. That means it's all going to come down to the final and decisive third match between Jessica Robinson and, of course, Joshua Schmidt.
Yeah, team captain versus team captain, European champion versus world champion. A lot of pressure on both players' shoulders now to really display which is the greatest of our exhibition teams here. This is really exciting. I can't wait to see how this one comes down. So shall we jump on over to the third match?
Absolutely. Let's see who takes it down.
I'm glad we've got those exclusive world champion duels, because it's just nice to get sort of unique footage of such excellent displays.
It really is, honestly, and you know, that isn't even our final one for the day, but more on that later.
Great teaser there, Ibris. We do have one more for you. We consider it the headline act. But before then, we mentioned earlier in the show, we have the 60 million downloads campaign for Master Duel, which is absolutely amazing. And for that, you get 1,000 gems and 2 pack tickets for our brand new selection pack, Ibris.
Blazing Arena.
Hey, exactly that. Now, this comes with some very exciting cards, and you guys will hopefully be able to get your hands on them with those pack tickets. So, talk to us about some of the sort of 3 main cards that we're going to be seeing in Blazing Arena, Ibris.
So, if you couldn't tell by the name, it does seem to be pretty fire themed. To start things off, let's talk about Bonfire, the spell that does add a lot of consistency to a lot of fire-themed decks.
Now, this is one that a lot of people are going to be very familiar with because it only released relatively recently in the TCG as well. So the fact that it's already coming to Master Duel, very exciting. People like seeing those recently released cards immediately come to the digital platform, Ibris.
Yeah, so this is essentially a reinforcement of the army, or emergency call, if you would. Everything goes back to heroes.
It certainly does.
Yeah, this is just a way of accessing your monsters from your deck for these fire pyro type cards.
Absolutely, but that's also not the only thing that's coming. There are a couple more exciting cards, one of which is Full Armored Dark Knight Lancer.
So Full Armored Dark Knight Lancer is again just a really prominent Xyz monster. It adds a lot of consistency to Shark decks, again, by the way, which is really exciting
Shark
to see
decks
in this day and age.
Yeah, I know. Quite excited. Almost a throwback by this point, Ibris.
Yeah. Honestly, just really glad that they have a new way of combating the likes of Snake Eyes and some of the more dominant decks by having access to another boss monster in and of itself.
I mean, you're right. It is a good thing to have in this current format for people, especially if you're still playing Sharks, you know, which I'd like to see the percentage payment of those. But we also have one more, which I know you're quite excited about because this is a card that I know, it's an archetype that I know you care a lot about, and that is Volcanic Emperor. Now, talk to us about why it is that you like Volcanics and especially this card.
Yeah, you think I love heroes? Just wait till you hear me go off about Volcanics. Now, Volcanics, you mentioned earlier how TCG releases in the past just really important when it comes to kind of gauging expectations around a lot of these cards. Volcanics were released a good while ago.
Certainly, yeah.
Force of the Breaker era in the TCG.
Gosh.
Where you had the likes of Volcanic Rocket, you had the more common Volcanic Shell and Scattershot, which would be discarded off of the Blaze Accelerator spell card to burn your opponent, and then in the case of Volcanic Shell, add another Volcanic Shell to your hand.
We see a lot of that getting played nowadays for some people trying to get that sort of last second in time damage in things like TCG tournaments. So people will be, you know, really able to utilize more of that with Volcanic Emperor in Master Duel. Not that you'll have the time, because once you run out of time in Master Duel, it's all over. But still, a good card to have.
Searching off of Bonfire, for example, just having access to the Volcanic Scattershot, as you said, can go a long way to just dealing that little bit extra bit of damage. In the case of Volcanic Shell, because it's a card that would add a copy of itself to your hand, oftentimes you discard it off of Lightning Vortex, off of Snipe Hunter. That's also thematically relevant because Team Snipe Hunters won the WCS. You saw Emray, you saw Fontor. Maybe we'll see another member of that team a little bit later on.
Who could it be?
Yeah, anyway, Volcanics, very, very exciting, and Volcanic Emperor just gives another boss monster to this archetype along the lines of Volcanic Queen and Volcanic Doomfire.
It certainly does. So with that in mind, it's probably time for us to have a look at just exactly how you can use Volcanic Emperor to your advantage.
Yeah, Volcanic Trooper and any card in your hand that you'd like to discard. Could that be Volcanic Scattershot? Could that be Volcanic Shell? Time will tell. Regardless, what you need is that Volcanic Trooper. You will use its effect to add Volcanic Blaze Accelerator from your deck to your hand. You'll then use Volcanic Blaze Accelerator to send Blaze Accelerator from your deck to the graveyard. By using Volcanic Trooper's effect, you'll then discard a card, for example one of the Volcanic monsters we mentioned earlier, to summon a bomb token to your opponent's side of the field. Using Volcanic Blaze Accelerator's effect, you can then target the token, and then by sending the Volcanic Rimfire to the graveyard, you can destroy the token. Activate the effect of the Volcanic Rimfire in the graveyard, banish it, send Volcanic Emperor from your deck to the graveyard, and then activate Volcanic Emperor by banishing Blaze Accelerator from the graveyard.
And voila! You have yourself a Volcanic Emperor combo. Again, excellently explained there, Emperors. Much appreciate you taking us through these synergies every time. You guys can get your hands on that exact Volcanic Emperor by going and getting our new selection pack, Blazing Arena, right now. And who knows, maybe we'll see some of you guys utilizing those Volcanics in our ranked duels. But speaking of duels, we have our headline act, as it were, to show you. You guys saw a couple of the people who were taking part in our first invitational, and now you've seen the second invitational that had our world champions. We've had two of them, which means it's time to show you our third world champion, Joshua Schmidt, versus our TCG European champion, Jessica Robinson. It's going to be a good one.
So here it is, the final and decisive third game between these two teams. A team of world champions against the challenging teams, also with a team captain of a European champion of the TCG, Jess, and it is Josh going to start things off here, being the winner of the coin toss and being the normal summoner of Naturia Camellia here.
I think Josh is going to be extremely relieved to have won this coin flip, because if there's ever a deck you want to win the coin flip against, it's probably Jessica's. So we'll see how she can maybe show what her deck does going second. But yeah, Josh, notoriously kind of known for the runic cards, and has managed to put them together in with the Naturia deck quite successfully. And yeah, he brought this deck to the World Championship, and it was quite a fuss kicked up about it from the OCG side, because it's not really a common build that we've seen over there. And so it was quite popular as he displayed it on the biggest stage of them all at the World Championship in Tokyo last year. So yeah, he's a big fan of this deck and a enjoyer of the runic cards.
Yeah, nobody really expected it. Everyone was surprised by seeing that mixture of Naturia and runic cards. So far, no runic cards, but there is an Ash Blossom on the effect of Mole Cricket. Okay.
That's something, yep. Ash Blossom on the Mole Cricket means we might not be able to get to our Sunflower negates so quickly, but we'll see if we have any good runic extension here, because we did mill a Dispelling earlier. So if we can get to some sort of fountain play and then also draw cards in the process, that's going to be really strong.
That is just Naturia Beast, and that obviously is going to trigger the Naturia Mole Cricket in the
Oh,
graveyard.
wow.
There's no runic cards at all.
All right, so Jessica just needs to get through a Nat Beast, which is... it could be problematic. It's quite a spell-heavy deck, but there's also like a decent avenue for, you know, just playing with pure monsters.
All right, normal summon Rika Patel. Okay, I think that is definitely at least some sort of combo if Josh does not have an answer to this. The thing is, if he did not have runic cards, what is he supposed to have in hand? I think there is definitely some likelihood for him having Maxi or something here.
Yeah, I'm detecting a Ash or Maxi or something like that. Most likely some sort of... probably Maxi, actually, because I don't think Josh actually plays many hand traps whatsoever in this build. So, yeah, it would have to be something like that. Or maybe just, I don't know, like a hand clogged full of more Naturias. That would be very unlucky. We'll see. Camellia is brought out from the deck here using the Mole Cricket to send the Sunflower. And that's just going to stare down the Petal, who now gets the priority pass back to her to add a Rika from deck to the hand. And we could go for the extension play with the Princess. We could go for Madan to get a Con online as quickly as possible. But again, not going to be too great into Nat Beast, right?
I mean, I really like the idea of having access to Princess here, because Princess kind of also deals with the possibility of that Sunflower coming to the field. So I think having that as a card in hand already is quite the thing to have here to then do other stuff. Hopefully she has other extenders to go from there, but that Princess could be a key piece here. But he does search for Snowdrop, maybe signalizing that she already has the Princess in hand.
Yeah, so this is the Snowdrop one of typically in the deck here. You tribute a plant to special summon. There's that Maxi. Yep. All right.
There it is.
And you know for a fact she's just going to take the challenge because, well, nothing else to do in this situation. To be fair, I will say that Josh drawing cards is going to be really irrelevant, right? Because without Fountain on the field, there's nothing you can really draw here. And that's a Lokai. Wow.
That could technically be huge here. That's only one draw for Josh here
Look at
anyways.
his face. Look, just he loves this card. The Plant Circular.
Okay, Camellia activating, and do we have a way to stop this? Is there a maybe? No, there is no Princess, so that means maybe Jazz will have to go into the battle phase before any other things to get rid of that Sunflower here.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Jessica, it's going to be really hard to play through two monster negates and the spell protection from Naturia Beast. So we kind of have to do... we have to use our battle phase here to get rid of it. But now the problem is you've got this like dilemma of you basically have full combo here, but she's under max C, so it's like how far do you extend?
Let's deck him out. Honestly, let's go for it all. I don't think it's really possible, but
no, I'm pretty sure it's not possible. So it looks like she is just going to manipulate the levels using the Snowdrop effect to copy, and that's just going to be passing on the Queen.
Honestly, that sounds about right, because that's a really good interruption that can also already on this turn get rid of one of the monsters, and you only allow Josh to draw one card. So I do like the plan here that Jess has chosen.
Yeah, the problem is, like, I feel like Josh is going to have way too much resources, right? Like, his opening wasn't incredible, especially through no disruption, and on top of that, just drawing any runic cards here is going to be really strong. If Josh decides to use any runic cards, because remember, he does have a battle phase next turn, which is one of the downsides of runics, is that you don't get your battle phase. So if we feel like he has to use it on his following turn here, then Jess is going to have another chance.
Ooh, we do decide to tribute the Mole Cricket here. I expected her to get rid of the Naturia Beast here almost every time, and then maybe enabling her to activate cards like Triple Tactic Frost or Triple Tactic Talents, which could be huge here, just looking into the hand of the opponent. But we are just going to set two cards and pass it over back to Josh, who probably now, with a priority in draw phase, has some cards picked up. Ooh, Teardrop right away, going after the Naturia Beast here.
It's interesting, because we know that the Naturia Blessing is in the hand here. So we'll see if Jessica has anything face down that's kind of relevant. Potentially Hard Drawing Sheet could be like really strong.
For sure, absolutely.
We'll see if she flips any relevant back row here. Using the Nat Beast as a tribute probably signifies that there's an important spell set, but I don't even know what you could have as a spell set that would be quite relevant, right?
Ooh, Foolish Bird Goods means more Naturia engine, which is not really what Josh needs at the moment, because he is fine on the Naturia cards. He already played a full turn of Naturia combo, basically, but he's lacking on the runic part of his deck so far.
Yeah, needing the other portion to facilitate some of the utility here, because the Naturias do have great synergy, but we do have to try and start outing things and applying some pressure, otherwise give this deck a chance and one single Loci can bloom into an entire field here. There's that Blessing coming down to revive. Could go for the Nat Beast, could go for the Mole Cricket.
There's the Nat Beast, and also that now immediately enables the Mole Cricket as well, because Mole Cricket does not only trigger on your opponent's monsters being summoned, but also when you summon a Synchro Naturia monster, which he just did. But we just go for Freezing Curses instead.
Alright, no battle phase this turn, remember, so we are going to have to basically just try and pick apart the field here. Especially summoning Hugin, which will discard to add the singular copy of Fountain that is limited here. We got Freezing Curses at what, 2 these days? We've got like Tip is at 1. Ooh, Nibiru.
Ooh, there was Nibiru in there.
Wow, I was actually under the impression Josh was not playing any of their hand traps. So there's a royal Runic Fountain from Josh's side.
Indeed.
Right.
Why not?
So the Fountain is going to be able to draw 2 cards here if we have another Runic in our hand. And we're most likely going to fire off that Fountain for some advantage here and see where we go with the draws, with the synchro plays, because we do have a 6 available to us right now with Camellia plus Hugin. That's exactly what we do here.
Maybe Josh is also just relying on drawing into another Runic with this. Like maybe we go for the Coral Dragon. Okay, that means there must be another monster though that he has access to, because you're not just summoning Coral Dragon out for no reason. You want to get this card into the graveyard, so there must be a way for that. We can even discard Ash Blossom. Look at that, Josh actually playing a multitude of hand traps here.
Priority
And
passes back. It's a Cyclone. Wow.
that would have been huge theoretically on the Runic Fountain if there would be no Naturia Beast on the field.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a lot of ifs to hope against Naturia cards, but yeah, Jessica's sort of main deck tech cards are actually quite bad in this matchup, right? Like, the Nat Beast is just really strong, but then again, what are you going to do? Not play spell cards in your deck? It's unfortunate, but yeah, such a powerful boss monster. And another Runic Flashing Fire to destroy a special summoned monster. Oh, actually going to use it to retrieve with the Jerry. Well, not even retrieve actually, because it's at 1, but I guess this does let you go up into the Baron.
You need that monster indeed. You want to get rid of the Coral Dragon, drawing another card, triggering the Fountain, drawing more cards. That's all what this deck is about. You just draw cards until the end of days.
Yeah, that's exactly correct here. We're targeting 3 in the grave, and very few cards are going to be able to interact here, especially with Nat Beast, and it looks like it's resolving. 3 cards drawn, 1 more on the Summon of Baron here. It's looking a little bit rough from Jessica here.
Yeah, and we just saw Josh nodding his head. He's like, okay, I'm satisfied with those draws. We can work with this. Let's see where all of this brings us. But now also, of course, the Baron de Fleur being able, as the Coral Dragon also just did, to interact with the back row. Okay, we don't even need the Baron. He's like, what kind of card is that supposed to be there? We can just go for Cheng Ying, and then we're going to get rid of the card anyways.
Yeah, so Cheng Ying is a Sword Soul boss monster, but in any deck that has Banishing, you've got so much synergy.
Oh, there is the Runic Tip, which of course right away is going to be that Banishing, because we can just add any kind of Runic spell here, and that is going to banish 1 card from Jazz deck, and that will enable the Cheng Ying to activate.
Yeah, Runic cards so incredibly powerful. They're essentially 3 cards in 1. You've got the various utility effects of all of them. They're all instant fusion, and they also have the deck out style effect. So using that synergy between the Banish and the Cheng Ying means that if a card is banished, you get to basically use this almost Ice Dragon's Prison style effect here.
Oh, that's actually really good here, because we also get to get rid of the Rika Patel. Now the Runic Destruction going after the back row, step by step, taking apart the entire field of Jess. She is going to chain the Cosmic Cyclone just for the giggles.
If
it's
Josh has
obviously
any mercy here, he just lets this go through.
Please, Josh.
Let it resolve. What did she target? Was it the Fountain?
He did target the Fountain, indeed, yeah.
No mercy? No mercy, wow. Does not even afford her the chance to get rid of the Fountain. Yep,
he even gave us the side eye into the camera, being like, shall I let it through?
He thought about it, didn't he?
But then he still negates it. Well, this Naturia Runic deck, it's so powerful. It almost seems like a deck you could win a world championship with. Like, seriously, this is so strong.
Yeah, has anyone told Josh about this deck?
True.
He might want to consider
He
this
should be
for
checking
next
it
year.
out.
He does get to go back, actually, right? They will be returning, and so you know, there's a world where we see this on display again.
Yeah,
in
I mean,
a few months.
it would be fun if they.
Oh, there's another spell
okay,
card.
okay.
Hold, hold.
Naturia Beast, hello. Are we going to negate that unexpected die?
You know, the funny... Yeah, it is what it is. You know, the funny thing is, it doesn't even matter, right? Any runic card gets to activate, then banishes off the top of the deck. Cheng-Yin can just banish the Lokai. So yeah, one last card in hand. It's an unexpected die being activated.
Ooh.
Princess to special summon.
At least we have a monster. We have one more monster to rely on. Rika
Yeah.
Princess is going to be the one that has to do it for us here.
So Josh doesn't want to use runic cards because, you know, you need that battle phase to slowly actually start dealing damage here. So this kind of puts him in the position of, well, I guess I have to. So, oh, banishing Twin. That's a kind of important combo piece, but might not be relevant here.
I think Josh just wants to have this game go on for longer because he just enjoys this Royal Rare Runic Fountain to be chilling there on the field. He just wants to look at it for even longer.
Yeah, I think the Royal Fountain edition might actually be drawing extra cards at this stage.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, we're just going for deck out. How many does she have left here?
So we even give her a card in main phase 1. That's
Yeah.
29 left in the deck.
Brave.
We banished, yeah, I
Therian
mean,
field
there was
spell.
a sewing as well.
Sowing's gone, Therian's gone.
Okay,
We're
Rika
almost up in
Petal.
Petal,
Not too bad, indeed.
So we haven't used Cheng-Yin yet. Okay, Ash. Gosh, she's in pain. I mean, you could just look at her. She's not enjoying this.
She's kind of smiling, though.
Oh, gosh. All right, so if you ever needed a display of what the deck can do, Naturia Runic, this is, of course, piloted by perhaps the renowned Runic enjoyer, and that is Joshua Schmidt himself, popularizing so many different versions of this, both in TCG and in Master Duel. Yeah.
Yeah, he made a name for himself for sure. And I mean, winning tournaments left and right with that engine. And basically, whenever a new archetype releases, the first thing he's thinking about, how can I combine it with runic cards? Like, for example, the Snake Eye deck right now is super popular in Master Duel, but probably the first thing coming to his mind was, how can I pair this up with runic cards?
Yep, no, that's I literally was playing with him in the lobby last night, like with the
There you go.
with the runic Snake Eye deck. So we'll see if he brings that to. Well, I guess he'll be casting with me tomorrow. We'll see if any of his teammates might be playing it in the event tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, Sacred Tree. Wait, did he just not activate Sacred Tree there?
Might just have all of the targets in our hand at this stage, honestly. All right, so Dryas can, I suppose, special summon if we take battle damage, although we're not going to be taking any battle damage. That's going to be, you know, I suppose a bit of a long, drawn-out game here because, yeah, it's all about controlling the field with the runic, so...
Yeah, no battle phase this turn. So we probably, if we want to activate runic cards, shall rather activate them right now, because that means we are just going to skip the battle phase that is ahead of us. And then next turn we are free to attack then whatsoever.
And I don't think there's much that Jessica can top deck, to be honest with you.
And there is the perfect answer. There is the Flashing Fire. There is, of course, also no sowing in the graveyard to protect the Dryas at the moment, and therefore the Dryas is just going to leave the field here right away.
We're actually going to use the special summon effect of Flashing Fire.
Ooh, okay.
So this is going to be a level 8 synchro, potentially. Do we play 8s in this deck?
Scarlight, I guess?
Scarline, interesting.
No, knowing Josh, there might even be Colossal Fighter in there. I don't know.
It's not wrong. I think he's used that for a deck outplay before, so...
I think that was in his Dragon Link deck at Worlds, but in theory, he does like that card a lot for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he just... Is there a way that Scarlight gets to go for the game here? It's only 500 per monster, right? So there's no...
It's not a
I
lot,
think it's
yeah.
Trishula. Is that Trishula? That is... I
That
think
is a
he's going
Trishula.
to summon the monster.
Wow.
There's a legendary clip from the World Championship where he actually summoned this card out. So I love that he's also just going for it here. Just for the giggles, basically. Because there is not even a card in hand of Jessica to get rid of.
Yeah,
but
we're-
of course, it's such an iconic and cool card. And it gets rid of the paddle in the graveyard, to be fair.
Oh wow, we get to get rid of 2 cards in the graveyard here by only using the Grave effect of Trishula, which triggers the Cheng-Ying, which then gets to... Basically, you get 2 for 2 graveyard banishes there.
Okay, he did not forget to skip the battle phase, so we are good to go for the next turn. If we don't use another runic spell now on the upcoming turn of Jazz. Okay, Jazz.
Not a lot to potentially draw into an established field of Cheng Ying, Fountain, Naturia, Beast, a set card, and 4 in hand.
Normal summon Lone Fire.
That
there
works.
we go. Lokai all the way. We can do it.
I mean, Lokai does do it to an extent. Not really, actually. To be fair, like I think we banished Sowing and we banished Twin.
Twin
So
is
I
a
don't
problem.
actually know what this does.
I think Sowing could be a 2-off in her deck. Because
Sowing, yeah, it
sometimes they
usually
do play 2, but there's no way, no world in which you play 2 twins, and therefore that might... Okay,
Rose
just
Whip.
summon out Rose Whip, okay.
Beautiful.
I mean, we're kind of joining the Naturia thing now. It's the Naturia monsters on both sides of the field.
Well, who is the best Naturia player? I mean, I'm kind of a fan of Jess right now. I love that card. Bringing that card post-side in TCG, done that many times. Turning off your opponent's evenly matches and things like that. Feels really good with the Rose Whip.
Yeah, Rose Whip definitely, as a going first option in the TCG, is very, very good. I probably think she also played it in her winning list at the European Championships, so it's no surprise that she also included it here. Wait, can we not go for game here, actually?
Yeah, so what you do is you use the Cheng Ying in the battle phase off of the banish effect, and that lets you just, go for game. There it is.
Alright, as we already are in the battle phase, we do not have to skip it this turn anymore, and that is absolutely more than enough attack points on the field, and therefore the attack of Cheng Ying is going to bring it home here. Team World Champions is going to take down the exhibition 3v3 match here.
Formidable stuff, honestly. The world champions almost on the back foot there. It was worrying just for a little bit after watching Emray in Game 1 draw no disruption against that incredible Salmon Great display by Pariah. Quantal also showed us a perfect showcase of Infernoble and what that deck is capable of. And a little bit of a back and forth at the start of that Game 3 there, but ultimately...
Of course, the man himself, Joshua, had to bring it home. He was on display there, going first with the Naturia Beast, right away giving him perfect answers to the Cosmic Cyclone and all the other cards that Jazz opened there. And therefore, we have a winner for the 3v3. The World Champions just keep on winning, and so they also win this one right here. Yeah, I loved it.
That was a great game. No, that was an incredible display of the 3 versus 3 by the World Champions. And yeah, our competitors put up a good fight, and I think it was cool to see some of the decks in action for this format that aren't Snake Eye, but utilizing a couple of new tools as well in the process, like the new Infernoble support and the Princess.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely make sure to check out Yu-Gi-Oh! Card EU for more content like that, and see you very soon.
That is the conclusion of our 3 of 3 versus 3 games there. A World Champion exhibition match. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, we've crowned the winner. And obviously, if you want to see more content, definitely make sure to head over to YouTube so you can see some summarization of this cool little 3v3 exhibition match, and see you very soon for more action.
That's going to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Card EU on YouTube. See you there.
I'm so glad we get to see duelists of such caliber.
Yeah.
World champion versus European champion in Master Duel. That's beautiful
Makes
content.
kind of a difference from the duels, from the days of the duels between you and I.
Oh yeah, I mean, people are really seeing a totally different caliber of dueling.
Worlds of difference.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
See, oh, you don't just throw this together, Ibris. There's a reason you're here, and there's a reason you guys are here, and that was to see all of the stuff we've talked about in this month in Master Duel. Make sure you guys go and get Blazing Arena, Return of the King, and of course, Songstress of Sorrow Song, which just have some amazing cards in them right now.
Yeah, there is also something else that you guys can get by taking part in the ongoing Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game 25th Anniversary Special Code Campaign. You may have seen the anime video that was released around the time of the 25th Anniversary celebration.
It's just the best. I love that bit. It's one of the best bits of media that I've seen from you. I just think it's incredible, and it's bringing to life all the cards that we all know and love, and everyone in the community loved it. But they didn't notice everything, did they?
They did not, as there are in fact a couple of codes to redeem in there for exclusive in-game accessories.
Keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you guys go and redeem those and get those, and we'll see you next month in Master Duel.